Uh, we're live, Mr. Wade. Are you, sir?
Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
Pleasant good night once again to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, and to all those who around the world who will view us a little later on. Pleasant good night, and always, thanks for supporting by sharing our message. Because our message, once you're a patriotic Belizean, lover of people and nation, you will subscribe to the things that we lobby for and the things we talk about. Um, on that note, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Leonard Brackett.
Yes,
It's
sir.
always a pleasure again. New
Pleasure is mine
2020,
too, sir.
new 2026, and hey, we're still here. Give thanks and praise to the Almighty. And Leonard, I just want to put this out there that tonight, uh, Belizean Affairs show number 389 on a blessed Monday belongs to Mr. Gregory Brackett.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah,
Our
but
chairman
like
for
you
the night.
say, yes, you say the show must go on, right, Leonard? So,
I
but
presume he's somewhere in the background,
yeah, somewhere in the background.
finishing up his program.
Yes, sir. So we look
But I'm,
forward to
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
uh,
sir.
can I take a little blame in clarifying that point there just now with the absence of the chairman so far?
Yes, sir.
That is that I'm supposed to send out the link a little earlier than I normally end up doing.
Yes, sir.
So without the link, he's not able to load up everything that he needs for his program, and so he's probably doing that
Yes, sir.
because of the delivery. So it's a mea culpa on my part, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
back?
Thank you. As always, we through our program here, Leonard, again, we speak about the ills in our country, the good, the bad, and the
Mm-hmm.
ugly.
Mm-hmm.
We hold no reservation in speaking truth to power. A lot of us, Leonard, speaking truth is a big problem. Sometimes we have been bogged down. We have been called bad people, and because we speak the truth, there are some people that do not like to hear the truth. They just like to keep hearing the same rhetoric, But we speak truth. We are not afraid to say what's on our mind. But again, too, Leonard, there are a lot of our viewers and listeners who love us, who want to hear from us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They look forward to our program, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
We give them thanks and praise, and we thank them for 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 tuning into our program. And as always, we start our program. There's a lot going on in our country, a lot, and around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But as always, Leonard, we start our program with a prayer, then followed by a reading. And I ask you, Leonard, to please lead us in a prayer, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll just bow my head, Mr. Chairman. Divine and loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for thy bountiful blessings towards us. First of all, for having given us the privilege of life, and secondly, the opportunity to still be among our family members in good health and alive. Thou knowest our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts, Loving Father. We pray that thou mayest allow the meditation of our mind, the contriteness of our heart, and our willingness to serve thee and our brothers and the rest of humanity. We pray that thou must bless Belize, its people and leadership, that thou would bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and that thou would bless all our former members, friends and loved ones, wherever they are, as if they were even called by name and number. Please bless this program as we proceed tonight, that whatever we do, may it be to the honor and glory of thy kingdom, as well as to the benefit positive public benefit to our people and country of Belize. For us, His mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. I yield back,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard, for that warm prayer.
You're welcome, sir.
The country and nation and the world needs prayer. We got to start praying more often and ask for
Amen.
forgiveness, and we got to. I urge Leonard. I urge our Belizean people to start praying for a brighter future for their loved ones, for their children. Those of us, Leonard, who have lived the carnage of a two-party system who had governed us for so long, um, we can adapt. We can adapt to the carnage, although it hurts us. But then I think about the children, the kids, the youths, who are facing difficult times in this country, Leonard.
Yes,
Especially,
sir.
especially the black youths, black youths. Because we see how they have been treated and marginalized in every which way and deprived in every which way. And Leonard, I will do a reading
Yes,
from
sir.
Ephesians chapter 6, 1 to 10. And it reads, Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right.
Amen.
Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise that it
Mhm.
may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger,
Amen.
but bring them up in the discipline and instructions of the Lord. Slaves, obey your earthly masters. Obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, with a sincere heart, as you would Christ, not by the way of eye service as people pleasures, but as servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, rendering service with a good will as to the Lord and not to man, knowing that whatever good anyone does, this he will receive back from the Lord, whether he is a slave or free. Masters, do the same to them, and stop your threatening, knowing that was he who is both their master and yours is in heaven,
Amen.
and that there is no partiality with him. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God,
Mhm.
that you may be able to stand against the scheme of the devil. That's my reading, Leonard, from Ephesians
Uh,
chapter
Mr.
6.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
In contextualizing a little part of what you just read, especially the last part about putting on your armor for the battles against the devil, that is that what is generally implied or understood to be implied there in that particular verse is that we're supposed to equip ourselves with knowledge,
Amen.
which is actually the armor. Put on your armor. Equip yourself with knowledge so that whenever you come up against those who would deceive you and or those who would do you harm, you are already equipped to recognize that danger, and you might be able to do something about self-preservation and or protecting yourself. But without the knowledge, whether it be biblical knowledge or scholastic knowledge or social knowledge or scientific knowledge or economic knowledge or education or whatever the circumstance is in regards to knowledge, the more knowledge you have, the more astute you will be. That is to
Am-
say,
Amen.
you will exercise the the ability of wisdom, having the knowledge that would allow you to react in your own self-preservation. And I think that was the core essence of the moral of that particular verse, the last few verses that you read, sir. And that's only a little tidbit from my side in terms of contextualizing.
Yes, sir. So true on that, Leonard.
You're welcome, sir.
And based on that, Leonard, we here on this program has been doing um, that calling, put on your armor,
Hmm.
right? Like you just rightfully said, right? Based on all the things that we have said on this program and on previous programs, and all the warnings and all the signs that we have been given our Belizean people.
So,
Some may, like I always say, Leonard, some may like it and some, appreciate. So on that note,
uh,
we ask,
before you change again, before you
yes,
change,
sir, go ahead, sir.
on that same note again, I'd like to say that as you stipulated that we on this particular platform and our programs have endeavored to do just that, help others to acquire the knowledge, to acquire their armor so that they can be in a position when the battle starts in terms of the battle for their own physical survival and or their spiritual survival, that we have dedicated this program to that end objective, that is to inform the general public as regards to all matters Belizean. And so we come with a burden on our mind and on our hearts in terms of wanting to achieve that objective. Whether we achieve it or not is irrelevant. We are trying to do the best we can. It's left for those who are hearing the message to understand the message, take up the message, and make use of it, as we are saying, because they should put on their armor when it's time for battle. Otherwise, they will be slain without
Thank you.
armor or the ability to survive. I yield back,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman,
So
and I
right
guess
on that, then we yield
our
to,
original chairman is in the background.
yes,
He's not back home, but he's here.
we yield to the rightful owner of show number 389. We yield to the chairman. Good night, sir.
Good night, Mr. Chairman.
Good night, gentlemen.
Yes,
It's
sir.
always a pleasure sitting with you guys virtually. You're
Same
always
here.
highly appreciated as we discuss
So are you, sir?
Belizean affairs. I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. Thanking those of you who tune in to our live, and thanking also those of you who will tune in later on. Gentlemen, I hope tonight's show will be an educational one that I am presenting because I want to put theory into fact so that you, the people at home and abroad, can see exactly what we have been catering for and how, as I have mentioned, since we have been on this platform, I would say 98.5, maybe more percent of what we have called out has come to pass. So, gentlemen, tonight I want to keep the show to 5 minutes because we have a full slate and I want to go through it cordially and
Thank
respectfully
you.
so the people can understand. Gentlemen, I go to the first stage so that we can have a discussion.
Thank you, sir.
We had catered for this, and finally, it has come to pass.
The Ministry of Home Affairs and the AG's ministry, we are in consultation in considering this matter. So a final product hasn't been determined as yet as it relates to what will be the next step and whether that will be an amendment to the criminal code or the crime control and criminal justice act or whatever the case. We haven't decided on that as yet. And so until we've made a decision, a firm decision, I would I would prefer to not comment any further. But suffice it to say, what we all know that the 13th Amendment or the parts of the 13th Amendment, those will no longer be pursued. No?
The entire thing will no longer be pursued.
Well, there were different aspects or different parts of the 13th Amendment, as you're aware, no. But again, that is a decision that ultimately would have to be decided by the House Committee and as well the parliamentarians. No?
So you mean that the comport aspect can be dealt with regular law?
Well, again, so those are things that will have to be finalized and a product ultimately will be put to the Belizean public again, no.
Mr. Wade, I go directly to you first, for your
Thank,
comment.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like you rightfully says, we here on this program had beat this 13th Amendment and we state our position and we said exactly how they were going to play around with it. And all I can say, Mr. Chairman, is that, you know, when that 13th Amendment on noise by some politician came about, we have categorically, denounced it. And we have stated why we denounce it. And we had point out the ills in it. They could go back to previous show, Mr. Chairman, and they could see what we had talked about on the same issue. You hear that question asked, is it all of it or part of it? Now he baffled, because this is my, based on how I know these jackals, these anyway, I will not say much on how I feel about some of these lawmakers, right? In my personal view, right, that they are still going to do something with it. And they are going to spring it to the Belizean people again. But for right now, they're letting the Belizean people feel like we are because of certain things and they will take it back and tweak it and then come back to the Belizean people. But sad to see how this attorney general speaks with two tongue on various issues, things that he should come outrightly as the caretaker of law and order and the Constitution, right? We see how he baffles with doing his job for the Belizean people. And then we see how he have another tongue in doing his job for his boss. The
Mm-hmm.
person who gave him that job, the person who gave him that position, right? And just get and the taxpayers are paying him, right? But we see who he caters for. Um, I hope and pray that they come with another amendment in. I hope they come with the 14th amendment, right? Because where we are concerned, Mr. Chairman, this 13th amendment should be flushed down the toilet. He shouldn't be baffled with words and trying to please, right? He should have said, no, it's done and dead and gone. And what they should be thinking right now, Mr. Chairman, is come with another amendment, another number. I say 14. Right? Say no more. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Wade, for your lucid and forthright commentary in regards to this particular devious issue of the 13th Amendment, proposed 13th Amendment, by the way, because it's not an amendment, and if it doesn't become an amendment, there is no need to have a 14th until we get another new 13th. But I'm going to be funny in my presentation of this particular issue because we battled their butt to a draw initially, to the point where they had to shelve the matter. They were scared to bring it back to the public because we proved to them constitutionally and as well, you know, under the basis of our international human rights that they were attempting to violate, and under the basic principles of good governance that they were trying to make this thing exculpate their evil deeds that they have done in the past, all of which that particular proposal or proposed amendment would have been violating, not to say the least about legal drafting. And I don't doubt that they have legal draftsmen among them because they have good lawyers. But let me get to my point. Mr. Chairman, would you allow me to read something that I penned or that I wrote earlier this week, sir? Well, not this week, I would say in the course of last week. And regarding this same particular subject matter, and I just wanted to ask if you allow me to read it because instead of my scrambling and trying to, come up with words how to
Go
express
ahead,
it.
sir.
Okay, so thank you very much. About 2 days ago, I wrote an article addressing the subject matter, which I called, well, at least I said, the following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett to elucidate unconstitutionality of inconsistent amendments. That is to say, they agreed that they didn't want to put the matter forward anymore, the 13th Amendment. They saw the errors of their way, which we beat them over the head with until they became conscious of it, until the public generated enough resistance. And now that they're in a box, they have decided that they're going to go another way to try and achieve the same end objective. That is, they're not going to push the 13th Amendment anymore. They're going to leave that there dangling, and they're going to try and change some of the other laws that we have already on the book and modify those laws to incorporate other new wordings that will facilitate them being able to do the very same thing that they were supposed to try and get done under the 13th Amendment. So it's a bait and switch. Okay? A shell game, basically, for all intents and purpose. And I titled the article, a very short article, by the way, two paragraphs. The title of the article was Voidable Constitutional Amendments, which are supposed to be considered as nullities. That is, that if something is voidable, is as good as null. It has no effect. It has no legality behind it. It has no lawfulness, no legal basis, and it has no constitutional framework to support it. And to push on it, such item according to Section 2 of the Constitution is to amount to a scoff law. But let me read it as I had it here. I went on to say, if you amend the Criminal Control Act, which is what they were proposing to amend, and your amendments to that act violates and is inconsistent with the Belize Constitution, the premise I just outlined above as a conditional case, then such amendments, to the extent of the inconsistency, is null and void, as for Belize Constitution, Part 1, Section 2, Subsection 1, etc., which reads, this is the Constitution of this Constitution is the supreme law of Belize, and if any other law is inconsistent with it, that other law, to the extent of its inconsistencies, is void. And we have been teaching and repeating this particular Section 2 of our Constitution, Subsection 1, from the very inception of the legal discussions on changing our Constitution. And I hope that by now most people are aware of this if they haven't learned anything else from the Constitution. Because, like we said, the majority of our people know very little about the Constitution. I would hope that at least by now they have picked up on this one particular section, if they have learned nothing else, just to have learned Section 2, Subsection 1, that the Constitution of Belize is the supreme law of Belize, and anybody violating it or making any other rules, regulations, or laws to violate it are a bunch of scoundrels, scarf laws, and are in violation of the Constitution itself. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to say this, right? I believe the 13th Amendment was a test for the present government to see if they can amend the Constitution
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of our fundamental rights, Section 3 through 19.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
the
what.
Constitution protects itself because it's stipulated in Section 2 that any other law that is inconsistent should be null and void.
Mm-hmm.
We have spoken about this here on Belizean affairs for months. We have debated our Constitution, and I have pointed it out that the government, even with the super majority, they have the right to make substantive law, but they cannot amend acts of parliament. And this is what they were trying to do. Now, even with the Criminal Code 101, you heard the Attorney General said they will try to do it through the Criminal Code Act. Let me express to the populace at home and abroad how that works. It has to go through the House
Mm-hmm.
and it has to go through the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say this, right? Since we are talking about it. Well, the Criminal Code Act is a primary legislation. Only the National Assembly of Belize, House of Representatives, plus Senate, followed by Assent, can amend it. Cabinet, a minister, the Prime Minister, the Police Commissioner, or a statutory instrument SI
Cannot.
cannot amend it. So I want to put that out there very carefully.
Because, Mr. Chairman, because none of those points that you brought up, that you point out, can't trump the Constitution.
That is correct, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
Again, policies and SI does not trump one constitutional right.
And they are saying they want to create some SI now by the minister to trump the Constitution.
They cannot
Are they
do
that much of
that.
an idiot? Or are they
They
just chance
still
it?
cannot do that, Mr. Brackett, and I
I
will
know.
tell
We,
you
we know
why.
that. We know that.
You cannot input a SOE in the criminal code because one is already in
In the
the
Constitution,
Constitution,
in the Section
Section
18.
18.2.
Got you.
It will be null and void under Section 2.
Mr.
And they
Chairman,
should know this.
Mr. Chairman, what we are talking about is it's supposed to be a secret, because the Attorney General doesn't know that. I'm just kidding.
Gentlemen, that was one of our first presentations. How we here in Belizean Affairs has been having this debate and opening the eyes of the public as to the 13th Amendment. Now I want to go to another one because just recently we had this debate and I had stipulated outright that the Belizean taxpayers is already paying tax for the government to do something about the homeless and the mentally ill. So here we go to the tape.
The Minister of Human Development presented a paper to Cabinet where they expect to spend over $800,000 to be able to set up new homes, not only in Belize, but in Orange Rock, to look after the north, in Cayo and in Stan Creek. Homelessness is becoming a serious problem in our society, and it's a sad one. In many instances, many times these people have mental issues, and I know that lots of time people say, well, the family don't care for them. A lot of families try and they try and they try and they finally get frustrated, and then they end up on the streets. And now I think we believe that as our government and as a people, we also have a responsibility, a moral responsibility to do something for them. So the plan was presented to Cabinet. It was approved, but now we need to look at the budget. I was speaking with the CEO of investment last night.
I cut the tape right there because, as I mentioned, the Belizean people is already paying tax for the government to do these things. I go to you for a short comment on that, Mr. Wade, because that was one of our petitions, and we can say mission
Accomplished.
partially accomplished. We have to wait until the theory becomes practicality.
Right on.
Wow. Mr. Chairman, anytime that guy open his mouth, like my heart, it palpitates, right? A little harder. For me, I wish he would go away. That's only me, right? And I'm not afraid to speak the way I feel. I wish he would just go away. The man mentioned, Mr. Chairman, and my people in Leonard, over $800,000. Over, you listen to how that man, like that's a lot of money for homelessness. Lot of money for homelessness. What is wrong with that guy? Like you says, Mr. Chairman, the taxpayers are already paying money for that to have had happen many years ago. Many years ago. 2025. Like he want to have a baby with $800,000. Right. So, if you listen to him, and is that going to happen? And then if you go back and think about all the things that he should have been doing and that he said he was going to do, and 2025 has not done, not let's not go too far back, go right to the $91 million Treasury Hospital that was supposed to build in Belmopan. You see all the commotion with that, starting from the land, starting from the location, starting from the entity that was supposed to give this land, and then back forward to the entity that he bought this land from, and where we at? Where we at? And that's not 800,000.
That's almost 8 million.
Huh? So, and that I didn't go way back. And then, Mr. Chairman, does this guy know the level of homelessness? Well, this guy and past government has a way to play with statistic. He'll come with statistic, poverty rate is down, and this is down, and that is down, and he go to the lowest. I'm not talking nothing rocket science, about this guy, right? So the amount of poverty that we have in Belize, and you hear he mentioned the north, the west, and Stan Creek, right? So these are the places that has homelessness. The rest of the place where you not mention, don't have no homeless people, right? So as for me, the guy is a con artist, and he's getting away with a lot of things that he verbalized that he's supposed to do for the Belizean people and the nation, and that he's not doing it, but he's getting away with it, right? And he's so arrogant in trying, when asked to explain, he's arrogant in explaining, right? And he gets away with it. And especially if he goes to Love FM, right? Especially if he goes to that media house. The amount of things that he gets away with. And not only him, that's just one, and I'm not afraid to call Love FM out, right? So, but anyway, because that's how I feel. They should do more, Mr. Chairman, with homelessness in this country and poverty, right? I throw in poverty, because then if you ask him about poverty, we barely have poverty in Belize. That is under control. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to add to what Mr. Wade just verbalized and say that why, as Mr. Wade called it, the Prime Minister is having, or appear to be having, a baby, or finding $800,000 for homeless programs throughout the whole country. When in fact the man is trying to, I was about to say something inadequate. Let me just rephrase. Sorry about that. Every once in a while I have to bite my tongue on in the interest of trying to maintain my own cool, because these things are outrageous, and they're very vexing. Okay, so people just have me an excuse once in a while when I have to get to that point that I have to pull back and bite my tongue. I do that with good sense and with good faith towards the people who are spending their time, valuable time, listening to what we have to present. They don't have to listen to and hear some of the things that go through my mind sometimes that I have to hold back. But I still have to find a way to express the various sentiments that are there. So I'll say, how come this gentleman as our Prime Minister and call names Mr. Briceño, Mr. John Briceño, or Johnny as his mom would say. Johnny, I sent you to school to get educated, but to come back as a... let me not put the rest of the words in the mouth. I don't have a right to do that, so I'll just swallow that for myself. Why is this gentleman, right now as we are talking, lobbying the BTL board members them for them to go ahead and buy his family's business that is joined up with Mr. Ashcroft for $80 million, of which Mr. Ashcroft is going to get $62 million for his own pet programs, and the Briceño family are going to get $18 million. How much more $18 million is than $800,000? How can he find $80 million to share between those two entities? So his family could benefit for $18 million, but he can't find more than $800,000 for homelessness throughout the whole country. I'll go one more step further. The whole sale of those assets put together are speculated to be about $170 million. Okay? And out of that $170 million I described to you just now, that Mr. Ashcroft is going to get out of the first $62 million, and the Briceño family members are going to get $18 million, of which they're also going to get from the next $90 million left, the majority of the money out of that $90 million for them as well. What the hell is happening in Belize? What's happening to my people? Are we going to just lay down or roll over, knowing that the law says that these people aren't supposed to be using the powers of governance vested in them to self-enrich or to enrich their families, while they can't come up with the money to take care of the business of the government? It's crazy. It's ludicrous. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett, for your input there. Gentlemen, here in Belizean Affairs, we recently did a presentation on an officer bull who had dreadlocks. And we had an open discussion, and I presented constitutional grounds as to why this officer would win his case. Now I want to go to a tape to hear what the Attorney General had to say about that when he was asked the question. But I also want to show how out of context the Attorney General is, because he went back to a case when he was becoming an attorney, which is way out of context, and I will show you why. In fact, let me say it, because there was a ruling in 2021 on this same type of case. Let's hear what he has to say.
So the way it works in terms of when an issue arises that requires some legal representation or some legal advice, the respective department or ministry would write to us and request advice. We haven't, that is the Attorney General's ministry, has not received a request for advice or representation on the matter as yet. So will not be able to speak about the specifics, but what I can say as it relates to the case that I did when I was in private practice, the Chantelbury case. So that case, the police department had invoked one of its regulation, I think it was Regulation 7, and that regulation provided that as a female, and this is very important to note because that case and the principles were applied relating to how the court would interpret the application of the rule to a female police officer. So a female police officer, they can wear their hair to a certain length. It has to be above the collar. So what you had in those circumstances, the police officers, they demonstrated that, look, notwithstanding that we have in dreadlocks, they could still conform with the rule and not run afoul of the rule. And so what the court had found is that on its face, the rule was not discriminatory. I'm not I'm not too familiar, and again we haven't been seized with the specific facts of the case that you're alluding to, and so I cannot determine, or I cannot speak to what may or may not necessarily be the advice that we would offer. But suffice it to say that as it relates to discrimination, the discrimination matters usually are fact sensitive, meaning you have to look at the specific facts before a determination could be made.
He's grappling for words, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I believe the Attorney General is way out of context. He went back to a case when he was in private practice. But we do have a precedent case that came about in 2021 when the former Commissioner of Police, Compol Williams, lost a similar case. Before I go to you, gentlemen, let's go to it.
That matter is long behind us. I even forgot about that matter because the truth is the female or the officers involved, they have been working and we have no issues. Some of them have been promoted even with the dreadlocks, and the court ruling is the court ruling. That's the reason why we have a court system. The court looks at laws, and where the court find that certain laws or certain rules are inconsistent with the Constitution, it is the court's duty to point it out to us, and then we must make amends to our policies. And so I have absolutely no issue with the court ruling. Our policy is clear now. We have revised the policy, and so it is clear now that in terms of how officers here must look, and while yes, there may have been some ambiguity when it comes to that of the female officers, the one that deals with the male officers is extremely clear as to what is permissible. And so once it is that you enter the department knowing that you're supposed to maintain a low haircut, we don't expect that later on you'll accept coming in knowing the situation, and then later on you come and you want to change it to suit you. I don't think that the court is going to countenance that.
The people at home and abroad and gentlemen, Mr. Wade, I want to go to you first based on the tapes that I just played to hear your input and what the former commissioner had to say and the Attorney General. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that both of these gentlemen are barking on some petty stuff, and for whatever reason, whatever changes they want to bring forward into the system. I could go back from the 70s when I had joined the police special force. You hear the man, Mr. Williams, mention, how maintain a low haircut, right? That is so true, right? From way back, there are certain way you got to present yourself. That thing about dreadlocks and all that, that's been around for many, many, many years. these females or these individuals who have long hair, you know, has to present themselves in a way that does not interfere with their duty. Um, Properly maintained, right? They say that when you have from way back these female with the long hairs, there's a way that you gotta, roll it up and put it in a certain style, right? They didn't say that you cannot be in the force or you cannot be on duty with dreadlocks. No, once you have it properly tucked in and is not interfering with your performance, um, you know, that is been in the way the police manual from way back, right? So all this thing about the dreadlock problems, I think that is uncalled for, right? Because like I say, if a female have long hair, Mr. Chairman, right, and you can't wear that your long hair, especially being a public servant, that is going to interfere with your duty. No, there's a way that you groom yourself, right? So they make a whole hell of a loo, which is not, to me, I think it's uncalled for, Mr. Chairman, right? That's petty stuff. What that's only me, right? Because that's been around for before Mr. Williams, before the Attorney General, right? So
Uh,
all
you,
of a sudden now, that's a big issue, right? And why not just adhere to the protocol in terms of, maintain your hair, right? Your mustache, your beard, right? In a professional manner. Period. What is so hard for them to carry on that the way it was, that policy, right?
can I
So
ask you a question, Mr. Wade, about policing? Have you ever heard of any police officer being dispossessed of their job because they are getting bald or are bald? No, it sounds
no,
funny.
no, I had
Apply that same principle to exactly the point that you were saying just now. Why is it that I'm backing you up, right? By
yes,
pointing out to you a specific situation where they are being petty, like you said. They are treating one person with certain type of kid gloves while they are trying to treat the other person, which the Constitution calls discrimination. If you're not
exactly.
going to disqualify the man that can't groom his hair properly, and because he's bald and he don't have no hair, and you make excuse or exception for him, and he don't lose his job, why is the woman that have a lot of hair, which is natural, as you say, it could be groomed, you know? So I'm 100% with what you're saying. I just asked the question,
Yes, yes, yes.
you as a police officer,
That's
so the public can get the point of what I was trying to say. Has anyone else in the past lost their job because they don't have hair, as compared to those who are trying to take away their job because they have too much hair?
never, never, right?
I mean,
So,
it sounds funny.
so,
It's
so,
not
Mr.
funny.
Chairman, that's what I got to say on that. This petty stuff. There are more important, pressing issue in the police department that they should be dealing with.
Thank you, Mr. Weird. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Uh, I yield back another part of my time to Mr. Wade, Mr. Chairman, because he was gracious enough to let me add that little
No,
part
go
just
ahead,
to reinforce his
go
perspective,
ahead,
his point.
go ahead,
And
Leonard. Go ahead.
I
Thank
think
you, Len.
that point is
I,
well taken
I
already.
want to say this, right, to you, the people at home and abroad, and gentlemen, freedom of expression is not a given right, it's a fundamental right protected by our Constitution.
Which is why they lost the case.
And I will say this again, if they go to court they will lose.
Lose again.
And I will tell you why.
Hmm.
The Constitution, Section 2, specifies any other law
That is
that
inconsistent.
is inconsistent with this
Null and
Constitution
null and
is
void.
null and void.
And Section 6, Mr.
And
Chairman,
I
Section
want to say this. I said it before. Policy and SI does not trump one constitutional right.
Mhm.
And I
Miss,
want to say
Miss,
this to
Miss,
you.
Mr. Chairman, can I interject something real quick here? So
Go ahead,
so
sir.
what happened? I could remember, back in the days, Mr. Chairman, you go on muster, you go on parade, right? You go on inspection. They inspect how you look, right? And in those times, you couldn't have a policeman with those big drum in front of them, those big tires. No, that never had happened, Mr. Chairman. I'm telling you. Now what we are seeing,
They make exceptions.
right?
Or they
The
accept exceptions.
given the dreadlock and the and that performance of duty because of a dreadlock, and give the performance of duty because of the big barrel and tires that these people have in front of them. Which one is more detrimental to the police force, Mr. Commissioner and Mr. Attorney General and the system? Which one of them is more detrimental? The dreadlock or the barrel, the drum and the tire that these people are carrying around? Which one is more detrimental in performing their duties? Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
They're aiding and
But as
abetting.
I was
Sorry.
stipulating, that is a policy, administrative policy. It does not trump one's constitutional
Constitutional
right.
right.
And I will tell you something else. You cannot have selective law for one set of people and a different law for another set of people. If
Discrimination.
dreadlock is good for the woman to wear yesterday, then today it is good for the men to also wear. That is being discriminative, and the Constitution bars discrimination
Amen.
under Section 6 and 16. With that said, gentlemen, I want to move on, and I want to come to finish this show tonight with the detailed saga. And I want to show you, the people at home and abroad, how executive overreach is being played out in this country. I go to the first case.
So the government has taken a policy decision in relation to the telecoms industry and to provide from monopoly now through just an SI, which would not have to go to Parliament, means that you, in essence, are supporting a monopoly that the people is rejecting. Are you prepared that you will see demonstrations in the streets over this?
I think your questions are very loaded. I think I would accept that there is some concerns. And what we're saying by doing just an SI is simply just to put things on hold, on pause. Nothing will happen until you know how best to be able to regulate the industry. And at the end of the day, we need to remember BTL taxpayers paid 610 million plus. We still don't get the full amount for 2/3 of the telecom industry. And from BTS perspective, they believe that if they were to buy the other 1/3, that there are efficiencies that could come into place and that they'll be able to withstand the challenges that are coming to Belize. And at the end of the day, they need to do what is in the best interest of the company And by extension, us as a government need to be able to protect our taxpayers' monies and social security monies.
Mr. Wade, I go to you first, sir, and
Thank
I
you.
will ask the question to you, the people at home and abroad, for you to find and come up with your answer. If BTL is the people's money and Social Security is the people's money,
Mm-hmm.
then why is BTL a private public company being run by private partners and not by the government? Go ahead, sir.
It's a
Thank you,
lie.
Mr. Chairman. I would ask the same question too.
It's a
And you
lie.
hear about the man say SI is just to put everything on hold.
But you don't understand what you talk about. You just try to talk and make people believe that that is
Mr. Chairman,
the point.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, like I say, see when you catch the rat, they eat the cheese. Um, wow. It attack, they run, boy, they run with cheese all over his mouth, right? So, and then, furthermore, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how come he never say, well, no ask me nothing, go talk to me, brother Jaime, right? Talk to me, brother, cause I don't got nothing to do with it,
Liar.
right? So, I think by now, Mr. Chairman, I think by now, my people, both at home and abroad, the public and the world by extension who follows the news here in Belize and follow the progress and everything. I think by now, most people, Mr. Chairman, see this guy for who he is. Most people, right? Um. So again, you hear that word, Mr. Chairman, and I'll pass it back to you. You hear this word, public private, private public, public private. That makes sense to me, man. Right? That makes sense. I say no more.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
It's public. It's public when they want to use we money to buy the thing and cheat with. But it's private when they make the decision about how the money gonna roll and who won't benefit from it. That's all it's all about.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett. 5 minutes.
That's a lot of time. I'll take quite a bit of it too, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for it, sir. Would you allow me to indulge in reading another article that I wrote one day ago, which was probably about uh, Saturday, I think it may have been, rather than just yesterday. But anyhow, it goes like this, sir. The following commentary slash analysis was done by Leonard Brackett about proposed BTL acquisition of smart and other assets. And I titled that particular essay, Proposed BTL Smart Etc. Dollars Buying, which amounts to a ripoff. Follow the money, or numbers, I said, from what's currently known, such as the proposed acquisition total price of $170 million Belize, plus extra, which is not being explained to us or told to us that it's going to be needed after the 170, extra for legal expense and other miscellaneous costs, not herein included in the 170 million declared. I said, in addition to 4.5% interest for up to from 4 to 5 years term and paid from BTL's annual profit, which means that they said that BTL made so much profit this last year, about $30 million. Okay, now multiply 30 million times 4. How much do you think that come up to? $120 million, right? So if they make the big amount that they made last year, every year going forward for the next 4 years, they will come up with $120 million. But if they make less than what they made last year, they will be less than $120 million. What the hell are they proposing to pay within 4 years' time $170 million then? Where the rest of the money will come from? If they don't use up all of BTL's profit, that means that for the next 4 or 5 years, BTL has no profit to issue to nobody else other than the people who cash out up front. Make that make sense to me. I go on to explain the difference or the rest. Thereby diluting or reducing BTL's annual shares profit payout to its members. And the question then becomes, how much annual profit does BTL make, which I just described just now, as per their latest information, $30 million last year. So if they that are putting this thing together to sell to BTL expect to be paid in 4 years' time, BTL will have to come up with $120 million profit for the next 4 years, like what they have done last year, if they are successful at that, and find some extra money, an extra $50 million more somewhere. Sell some assets or go back and sell them the same assets or sell something to make up the difference, because that money should be paid in full by the end of the 4 years. With interest, by the way, in addition to all the other costs that I just enumerated or outlined. For example, why the Prime Minister is so hot under his collar to try and get us to buy his family's business from him so that they can cash out. The smart speed net is about $80 million of the $170 million, which means that $90 million is going to be left. But let's deal with the $80 million. Who gets the $80 million? Ascroft Waterloo owns 77.5% of the current shares or value of SpeedNet Smart, which amounts to about $62 million. And the Brisenios, who own the next 22.5% remaining shares, will get out of that $80 million about $18 million. Jaime Briceño, who controls 16.73%, will get $13,384,000, and Renan Briceño, who controls 5%, 7%, will get $4,616,000. Centers and Central Cablevision, etc., will get the next $90 million, who the Briceño families they own, as well as the Lizarraga families they own. As of right now, there's no clear stipulation as to how much of that $90 million the Briceños will get and how much the Lizarragas will get. But you can bet your bottom dollars that the Briceños are going to get the majority of that $90 million, $50 million plus. Okay? On top of the $18 million that they're getting from the joint venture with Ashcroft. So the man came to the house and told us that he paid off $300 million to settle all of Ashcroft's outstanding issues with the government. But he never tell us that he had outstanding bills with him as well. Now we're finding that out. We thought, according to him, we had gotten rid of Mr. Ashcroft, and we never see the likes of the man again in the public affairs. Only to find out now that he's also looking to cash in $62 million that the Prime Minister is trying to get for him, in addition to the 18 that his family is going to get, plus whatever other millions his family is going to get out of the other $90 million. That's why they had to put us under the barrel. This guy don't have no regards and respect or consideration for the Belizean people, many of whom are starving on a 60% poverty rate. He's acting like you said, Mr. Wade, acting like he's having a baby just to come up with $800,000 while they are ripping off and acting like kleptocrats and stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. Are these here thinking that we are stupid out here or something? Are we supposed to be modern slaves for them? Are you lot, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. I want to say this. Retail is private public. But why use the people's money to sponsor private investors?
There is.
And they are getting the most out of it. If the public part of BTL, which is owned by the people, which is enshrined by the Constitution, then how come the people share you can only make money from the shares, while the private investors is the one handling most of the money? Make it make sense to me. Let me go to the next step because we have this
Mr. Chairman,
discussion.
Mr. Chairman, for the next 4 years or 5 years, as I was saying in the previous commentary, there will be no money like you are asking about how the other regular people can get for their money from the shares, because all that money would have been gone, paid out to the Prime Minister's family and Mr. Ashcroft and the Desiragas.
Mr. Brackett, let me answer the question for you.
Bunch of scams. No, it's not. I didn't
The
pose a
government
question.
of
I did
Belize
not pose a question.
and the private part of BTL already knows competition will come with Starlink. So they want to do this monopoly. And you know what happens? If Starlink come and the rate for Starlink is cheaper, BTL will flunk. And you know what happens when it flunk? The people money will be used again to pay off what they purchased. So it's a no way lose for the owners who's getting the buyout. Because the Starlink come and it falls,
if their business is such a good deal, why don't the hell they manage it themselves, make their own profit, and keep their own assets instead of trying to sell us pussy in a bag to get free money up front, so that later on when Starlink comes into operations and BTL can't manage anymore or start failing, as quite well observed, we would have been in the hole from not being able to compete, as well as the money that we had paid out up front that we will not be able to capture back. These guys are just trying to use us as a slush fund.
I agree with you, Mr. Brackett. Let's
and
go to Let's hear what the Prime Minister has to say.
Go ahead, sir.
How far he would go for this deal to go through.
It is not a matter of consolidation. Our responsibility is to ensure that BTL can be as profitable as possible. But at the same time, we have to ensure that the consumers are protected at all times, that they are not price gouged, and that they give the best service possible. Technology changes, so it's a lot of investment that has to take place to be able to keep up. And that is where the Public Utilities Commission comes in. In my discussion with Minister Shabat, he said that the PUC is already working in setting up a regulation, an SI, whereby that he will sign, probably next week, whereby they were saying that there will be no rate increase probably for the next 12 months in the telecom industry, with or without any consolidation. Whilst I think no more than ever you start to realize that probably we need to start to put some regulations in that industry, in that sector, the same way you have it in the water and energy sectors.
Mr. Chairman, the PUC has no power or authority vested in it to write any or come up with any rules, regulations, or laws that the Supreme Court or the legal system can't trash in order for the PUC to undercut the viability of any company from making profit. Okay? PUC cannot write any such law that this knucklehead fool is talking about. Unless he's not a lawyer, nor does he study or learn or get consultation on any of these legal matters. The PUC cannot write what they're telling us what they think we want to hear to lull us to sleep so that they can walk away with our money. And we won't hope that PUC will come in at the end of the day after they are gone with the money. The PUC will come in to save us. PUC have no such authority vested in it. There's nobody in the country that could write a law that empowers any company, that company can't come to the government and sue the government for putting them in default of their company. It's ludicrous what these guys are putting out there and pretending that people are supposed to, just swallow it. Yield back, sir. That's crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Wade, I go to you for a quick input. 3 minutes.
Quick
They know
input,
what
Mr.
they're
Chairman.
doing. They know what they're
I
doing.
thought again, you hear the word SI. I thought he said already the SI is always to put things on hold. So we hear what the SI, what Shabbat has done with the SI, right? So, Mr. Chairman, I got nothing more to say about that.
Let me bring this to you.
The last SI Mr. Shabbat had to deal with, Carl Zanfi get pushed out of the government position or ministry that he was in. Remember, we bust them over the head so much, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, yeah.
On this last SI that he was involved with, to the point where he had to be removed. No, he won't call
Mr.
that
Chairman, that guy is a pathetic liar. Mr. Chairman, the Prime Minister of Belize, Johnny Briceño, is a pathetic liar. And he has no problem in lying to every which time and every which way. He have no problem doing that.
The man said that we, the Belizean people or the public, will pay for whatever damages the government have to incur. So that's why they don't care about.
Quickly, Mr. Chairman, what you says about the competition coming in, it's just like when Dean Barrow told him when he was in opposition what he will do, right? I'm not going to get into that. He sees something coming,
To the very letter.
So he's there with his with the private pub. I don't say the pub, the little private handful of them is they're trying to gobble up. They are gobbling up because they see problem coming. And like you said, rightfully said, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something quickly? We need on our show, for example, maybe to checkmate these guys and stop calling this jackass thing that they are pulling off as a public-private. Because it's mostly public money involved. The private is just a few little people. So stop use this canard about public-private where they are hiding under the issue that for the word private being associated with this company allows them to say, well, it has to be governed under only private domain or private rules and regulations. And therefore, we, the public, will own it, have no say, and they could just do what they want, and like I said,
Mr. Chairman, quickly, to finish off, that word public-private, they have been getting away with it for a very long time, especially this guy, right? In doing away with the public interest, right? And be getting away with it using the word public-private, and he knows damn well he does not. It does not go through.
And he said he doesn't get a private. Then he said he's not getting a private business. Huh? Prime Minister said he's not getting a private business. The guy knows what he's saying.
Mr. Wade, let me explain it to you and the public.
Just chance it.
Public, private, private, public. They are trying to turn retail into a monopoly. Okay? Let's look at the port of Dangriga. Public, private, private, public. The government enter into a public-private MOU
Portico
with Dr. Zabani.
Weinstein.
And how much will the cost be? 50 million. Public-private. But they need foreign investors to come in and fund for it to get done. So what do you think will happen?
How much shares the government will own in our public-private period under Sand Creek? None.
Let's go to the next one. The bus company, the new bus company. Public-private under another Zabani. Taking it away from the bus owners and their bus corporation. then you know what will happen?
Legally.
They will have to buy into shares, just like the people's money in BTL that is in shares and run by private investors. Let me go to another case because I want you guys to hear what the Attorney General had to say before I make my final comment to show you the people at home and abroad
Mr. Chair,
exactly what is happening
Mr.
here.
Chairman, before we carry them guys to jail, then should have put them all at Bridgefoot and flag them
I
from Bridgefoot
will
to Central Park.
I will tell you what is not being said. And I hate to call people a liar, but I will say the Prime Minister is overreaching with executive powers, and I will prove it tonight. Let's go to the tape.
I preface your question just have indicated we act on instruction. So we haven't been provided with any request for anything. So I can't speak to what you're speaking
The
about.
PM said they would move to do
But
that by
but,
this week.
but what I can say is that this matter relating to BTL telemedia that will be discussed at cabinet tomorrow. Cabinet has not had the benefit of discussing this matter, so I would not wish to comment any further until we've had an opportunity as a cabinet to be able to, 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 to look at the matter collectively.
How does the Prime Minister, as Prime Minister, take part in such discussions given that it's his family who part owns Smart?
So the discussion will take place tomorrow at cabinet, and we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Your question presupposes that the Prime Minister will take part in the discussion tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know what will take place tomorrow, and I can't gauge a guess as what will take place tomorrow. And again, I don't want to go down that I don't want to go down what could eventually be a rabbit hole.
These guys got me. Give me belly
Gentlemen,
ache. I try laugh and laugh soft, but my belly they hurt me, man.
gentlemen, and people at home
Oh,
and
man.
abroad, do anyone
Crazy.
know what is the hierarchy of law in Belize? Have anyone ever discussed that to know how it goes? I will say this. The hierarchy of law, number one, is the Constitution, the supreme law, followed secondly by acts of parliament, as in the Telecommunication Act, followed thirdly by subsidiary legislation, for example, POC regulation, excise, and rules, followed fourthly by policies and administrative decisions. I will say it again. The Telecommunication Act is an act of parliament that must go through the House and it has to go through the Senate. And you already have four senators who outrightly say they would block it. That is why they think they can come with this SI. But SI sits at the third of the hierarchy of law and administrative policy. That is why when we speak about the dreadlock, policies does not trump one constitutional right. And those police officers will win. And I will show the school banner so the people at home and abroad can see what it is. Very good.
Could you verbalize it to Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind?
Sure, I surely will. Let it scroll around. Very good. So you the people at home and abroad can know. One, the hierarchy of laws, this is key. The Constitution, supreme law, acts of parliament, example, the Telecommunication Act, subsidiary legislation, POC regulation, SI rules, and then policies, administrative. So you see the order, the Constitution is supreme, followed by the Acts of Parliament, okay, as in the Telecommunication Act. Then subsidiary legislation, like POC regulation, SI, and rules, substantive law made by man. Then administrative policies. That is how that goes. So when the Prime Minister is talking about making a regulation for an SI,
Conjab.
it will be unconstitutional and it will be unlawful. They don't have the authority to proceed with that. Anything that has to do with that has to go to Parliament. It has to go to the House and then to the Senate. Then it has to also get assented before it can go anywhere.
And gazetted. If it's assented and not gazetted, it's still not complete the cycle.
So when he's saying they will make a SI to stop and put on pause, it is unconstitutional and unlawful. And they know it. And the Attorney General should know that. And most lawyers will know that.
That
So
is, Mr. Chairman, that's why they lost. That's why they lost the BSI ESR case, because they tried to go there with a SI that they made. The Minister of Agriculture made an SI to try and give some support to the cane farmers then, and the judge struck it out, pointing out that it was inconsistent with the Constitution, and they could not use an SI to trump the Constitution. They still haven't learned. They don't want to learn. All they want to do is continue bamboozling the people, and in this case, all they want to do is collect their money. Whatever come out of this thing after they don't collect for their money, they could care less. We are dealing with a bunch of scoundrels. Over and over and over, they pull these things off, and they get away with it. Why? No consequence. Nobody sue them, take them to court. Nobody sue the government. Nobody put any of them in jail. There's no consequence to be had. And when there are consequences to be had, it is the public purse that pays. The Prime Minister tells us that to our face. Not as if we shouldn't have known, because we're supposed to know that much. But instead, when I ask her, well, what happens if they lose? The people won't pay. He should have to pay. Or the people that he have running the rackets are the ones that are supposed to somehow or another suffer some consequences for their misconduct, for their malmanagement.
thank you, Mr.
Some of
Brackett.
these guys need to go to jail. How they get there, I don't know, but they need to go to jail.
Mr. Wade, 3 minutes.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
before
Chair.
I go to you, I want to say this also. The Criminal Code Act also has to go through the House and the Senate and be assented.
But
If
if
they
it's
intend to try to put an amended SOE in it. And I can guarantee you it will not pass.
that's what I just said in the thing that I wrote, that I mentioned.
Okay? I go to you, Mr.
They cannot
Wade.
get by. They can't get there from here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And like I say, for my closing, Mr. Chairman, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company. We show and tell. Thank you for, you know, bringing that forward to the Belizean people, both at home and abroad. And it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Leonard.
Yes,
And
Mr. Chairman.
I I will say this, guys, is that I hope and pray that one day all these people that have done and continue to do these illegal acts, these unconstitutional laws that they pass, this taking away from the public to give to private in the name of the public, in the name of the public. I hope and pray that one day that a new entity will sit, because they will go. This two-party system that we run, that's running this country, right, that had governed us for many, 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 many years, and continue to fleece and to do the ills, that one day that a new entity comes in and step in and hold these people accountable and take away all these things that they have gotten illegally, right? All these the abuse of the offices and the office that the people entrust them with, they abuse it, that these people someday, somehow, will be held accountable with a new entity. And I just hope and pray that that happens, right? So they could do all what they want now, Mr. Chairman, and all continue to do what we see them doing publicly, right? And who dare touch them. I just hope and pray that one day that they every single one of them that will be alive, be held accountable. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll just hope to read this for my closing, and I hope it takes less than 2 minutes. The following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett to elucidate unconstitutionality of inconsistent amendments, so that if the House or the Prime Minister goes and make amendments to the 13th Amendment or to any other law, for example, if they go and try and make some kind of bogus stuff to deal with the selling of the BTL assets, which is public, to themselves, voidable constitutional amendments as nullities. Speaking to the Prime Minister, I said, if you amend the Criminals Control Act, as well as the Attorney General, who was proposing this in one of our previous tapes that we played, if you amend the Criminals Control Act and your amendments violates and is inconsistent with the Belizean Constitution as a conditional case, then such amendment that you make, to the extent of its inconsistency, is null and void, as per Belize Constitution, Part 1, Section 2, Subsection 1, etc. And I'll say in that etc. also Section 6 and other sections, as well as those under non-discriminatory laws. So they're binded. They cannot get from here to there, and they'll keep on trying to bamboozle us. But at the end of the day, they don't expect to be challenged in court, and that's their that's where they hang their hat on that. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. I think I did a post mentioning exactly what I am speaking about here. An open post specifying how the Constitution and the Telecommunication Act work and what can happen if we violated it. Gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show. But before we close, I want to go to one more tape to show executive overreach using the reverse psychology.
If Officer Powell is making those allegations, then he needs to go to the DPP. And that's his right. And he has, I think, not only a moral but a legal responsibility to go to the DPP. I think he should stop, just hurling these accusations. He either step up or shut up. And I don't know him. He tried to meet with me. I was unable to meet with him, but I would rather stay away from these things, go to the DPP. Now, this is on the issue of setting up an independent type of investigation in Belize. That is in the hands of the Attorney General. It's a long process to be able to learn to ensure that we can do it, that whatever laws we do, that it is going to be done and that it can be managed properly, because we might not do it, the next government might not do it, the third government for now might not use it for political victimization, but who knows in the future, you can never tell. We have to ensure that we have the proper safeguards, that when this is in place, it can only be done for serious investigations that are needed, such as the one, as you claim, with the investigation.
He don't want it
I
done,
want to say
so he
this.
not get trapped with it.
I want to say this.
On Joe.
Executive overreach using the reverse psychology. Mr. Prime Minister, it starts with you. The first 48 hours was critical. You had access to 2 videotapes recording as per your former Minister of Police.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not point the finger at this officer, because you yourself is involved.
The system is corrupted. The gentleman can't get no justice. Ali could get exposed and get hurt. Because none of them will protect him or protect his rights.
With that said,
And Mr. Chairman, quickly,
You
why
can't say.
why does he have to go to the Attorney General? Why?
And
Why
the
the
Attorney
Attorney
General works for
General?
the
Why?
The Attorney General works for the Prime Minister, who is the culprit behind the whole of this stupid thing. Okay?
There you go.
So everybody is protecting him. You expect the Attorney General going to do any different?
with that said, Mr. Wade, I go to you for the closing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, thanks for such a interesting and educational program that you had lined up and produced. Thank you very much. I just hope that it brings some kind of closure and benefit to our viewing public, and those who watch us both at home and abroad, and those who will watch us later on. Always a pleasure to sit in your company, Leonard.
Same here.
Again, I close by saying, may the Almighty give us the fortitude, the will, the life to to sit here and do what we do for many, many, many more years to come. Thank you, guys.
With that said, I would like to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning in to this, the 389th episode of Belizean Affairs. Good night to one and all.
Nice program.
Okay, gentlemen, you ready? 1, 2, 3.